everyone, and welcome back to Tammy's Yarn House. Today I'm going to show you how to do this wonderful feather stitch, and I love this stitch. It looks nice and it's reversible. Alright, this stitch is worked in multiples of 2. Alright, just an even number of stitches is how it's worked. I'm going to chain up 20. That is pretty good for a beginning swatch. Chain up however many you want to for your project, and meet me back here. I'm going to go ahead and do my 20. Here I have my 20, and we are going to do half double crochets, and we're going to start with the second chain from the hook. Remember, the loop on your hook never counts. Okay, so turn your work to the side just a tad and you'll see these back ridges. Go ahead and do a half double crochet in the second chain from the hook, and we're going to do half double crochets all the way down. Okay, so do your half double crochets all the way down the full length of your chain. Meet me at the end and we'll go on to row number 2. Let's go to row 2. We're going to chain 1 and turn our work. We're going to start. This chain 1 doesn't count as a stitch. Okay, chain 1 doesn't count as a stitch. So let's do a half double crochet in that very first stitch, and we're going to chain 1. And we're going to skip 1. And then we're going to do a half double crochet into the next, and we're going to chain 1, and we're going to skip 1. Okay, and we're going to do this all the way down for the second row. Half double crochet, chain 1, skip 1, half double crochet. So repeat that all the way down to the end, and I'll meet you at the end. Here we are at the end of row 2, and we know our count is correct if we've got our half double crochet. We're going to chain 1. This chain 1 correlates with a skipped chain, with a skipped stitch, and we're going to half double crochet into the very last stitch. Okay, this is what row number 2 is going to look like. And it's very important that you know and recognize these stitches because of what we're going to be working into. Row number 3 is our feather stitch, and we're going to be working into these chain 1 spaces, and because those chain 1 spaces up here, right, these chain 1 space, they correlate with our skipped chain from the row below. If you guys can see this, this chain 1 space correlates with this skipped chain at the bottom. So we're going to be working into this space and into this skipped chain. Okay, so let's start our feather row. Chain 1, turn our work. We are always going to begin with a half double crochet, and we're going to end with a half double crochet. So let's do our half double crochet, and it's going to be into, that's our first stitch right here, not this space. The space is the chain 1 space. The stitch, and if we turn it on the top, you see that? Maybe pull that down just a little bit. This is our actual stitch. So we're going to half double crochet into this stitch. Chain 1. Okay, we're going to work into chain 1 space, missed, skipped chain from the row below, and into the second chain 1 space. Okay, yarn over, go into your chain 1 space, pull it up. You want it loose. You definitely want it loose. So pull it up. Now we've got 3 loops on our hook. We want to yarn over, and we want to go into this skipped chain from the row below and pull it up. Pull that up. You want that nice and long. Okay, that's what gives this long part to our feather stitch is when we're pulling this up nice and long. Now we have 5 loops on our hook. We are going to yarn over and we're going to move over to our next chain 1 space, pull up a loop. We should have 5 loops on our hook, yarn over, pull through all 5. We're going to close this feather stitch off with a chain 1. Okay, we're going to go right back into that chain 1 space that we just worked. Right, yarn over, go in here, pull up a loop, 3 loops on our hook, yarn over, go into that skipped chain from the row below, pull that up nice and tall to the level of your half double crochets at the top, right? Yarn over, move it over to our next chain 1 space. Go in there, pull it up, 7 loops on our hook, yarn over, pull through all 7, and we're going to close this feather stitch off with a chain 1. Okay? Let's do this again. Yarn over, go into the same space that you just left, pull it up nice and tall, yarn over, we're going to go into this skipped chain from the row below. I'm sorry, let me get my yarn. Pull it up nice and tall, nice and tall. Yarn over, and we're going to keep it moving. We're going to go over to our next chain 1 space, pull up a loop, 7 loops on our hook, yarn over, pull through all 7, close off this feather stitch with a chain 1. Okay, so these are the 3 we're working in. Chain 1 space, skipped chain, keep it moving. Go over to the next chain 1 space. Boom, boom, boom. That's what we're going to do. Yarn over, go into the chain 1 space we just worked in. Yarn over, go into our skipped chain from the row below. Pull that up, 5 loops on our hook. We're going to keep it moving. We're going to yarn over, and we're going to go into our next chain 1 space. Pull it up, yarn over, pull through all 7, close this off with a chain 1. Alright, so I'm going to continue to do this with you guys, and I'll meet you at the end here. If you think you've got it and you want to continue, go ahead. You can skip through or fast forward if you need to. If not, it's cool. Stay here with me. We only got a few more to go. Yarn over into that space, pull it up, yarn over, go into our skipped chain down here, pull that up nice and tall, and we're going to keep it moving. We're going to yarn over and go into our next chain 1 space, 7 loops on our hook, yarn over, pull through all 7, close this off with a chain 1. Yarn over into that chain 1 space, pull it up, yarn over, go into that skipped chain at the bottom, nice and tall. We want these nice and tall. Yarn over, keeping it moving. We're going to go into our next chain 1 space, 7 loops on our hook, yarn over, pull through all 7, close off this feather stitch with a chain 1. Yarn over into the same stitch that we just left, pull up a loop, yarn over, get that skipped chain from the row below, pull up nice and tall, and what are we going to do? Yeah, we're going to keep this moving. Pull through all 7 loops, close that off with a chain 1. Okay, now we know we can do one more feather stitch because we have all 3 of our places where we want to go are intact, right? We've got the top, the chain 1, the skipped chain, and our next. So we're going to put one more feather stitch in here. So yarn over, in through the chain one space, making sure our stitches are nice and tall. Pull that up, yarn over, moving it over to our next chain one space, pull through all 7, close that. Right? So we want to do something with this, right? It looks like we want to do something with that. And no, we're not on this round. When we turn our work, we'll do something with that hole. But it looks like we've got this big hole here, and oh my gosh, we need to do something with it. And don't worry, we will, but we're not going to mess with it until we turn our work. So when you're at the end here, it's okay. Don't let this hole right here make you feel like you're forgetting something and you need to do something with it. You know, it's okay. So remember it this way. If you do not have all 3 of your spaces that you need to go into, you're good. Okay, you're at the end. So we've got our chain 1 space and our skip chain, but we don't have another chain 1 space over here. So we're good. We're at the end. After you made your feather stitch and you close that off with a chain 1, we are going to put a half double crochet in the half double crochet over here at the end. So half double crochet. Remember, we started with a half double. We're going to end with a half double. And this is what your first row of feather stitches look like. Now I'm going to show you one more row because it's going to look different from the row that we just did. Okay, chain 1. That chain 1 does not count as a stitch. Turn your work. Now we have this space down here, so we're going to work into. Now remember, we don't put our half double crochets into, this is a space, that's not a stitch. This is a stitch. You see that? This is the stitch. So we're going to put our half double crochet into the stitch, not the space, but the stitch. Half double crochet, chain 1. Now we can start making our feather stitches. And we've got our spaces. And here we're going to do this space, I'm going to keep it moving and go over to the next one. So we're going to yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, just go into this space, pull up a loop nice and tall, yarn over, and if you separate these a little bit, your space will come open. It'll be there. Yarn over, 7 loops on our hook, yarn over, pull through all 7, close that off with a chain 1. Okay, here we go again. We're going to go back into the space that we just left. So we're going to yarn over, go in here, pull up a loop, 3 loops on our hook, yarn over, go to the one below, pull up a nice long loop, 5 loops on our hook is what we should have. We're going to keep it moving, right? We're going to yarn over and we're going to go to the next space. Pull up a loop, 7 loops on our hook, yarn over and pull through all 7. Close that feather stitch off with a chain 1. All right, now if you want to know how to put a tassel on, stick with me and I'll show you how to do that. If you think you're good, then hey, congratulations. I would love to see your project. You could find me at on Facebook, Tammy's Yarn House. I would love to see what you made with your feather stitch. Hit me up over there and share a picture, and I'd love to see it. All right, y'all, have loads of fun, and I'm going to show you how to put a tassel on this real quick if you want to stick around. Let's do some fringe. So I did a few more rows in the feather stitch, and it's pretty good because the color started changing, so that way it'll be nice contrast when I show you the fringe. Fringe is anywhere from 3 to 5 inches, okay, is how you do it. And you can, anything that is a little bit sturdy, this is a tag off of some yarn that I bought, and it is exactly 3 inches. You know what else is 3 inches? Your driver's license, your bank card or a credit card, or your, I think I did mine off of my, what was that thing that you have with your auto, your AAA, my AAA card. I think I did mine off my AAA card. So you can do, you know, anything that's kind of sturdy. This is a 3 inch. This gave me this nice little shorter 3 inch, and this is exactly 3 inches. And on your scarf, you want to do every other one, and it'll work out just fine every other one. And you can combine your tail end. Okay, so if you go in here, so it's not sticking out here to the side, go in here with your hook and bring your tail in through, and you can weave it in a couple of times. I did it, well, we got to go into the other side. I did it to the third one over, so it blended in nicely, because we're not going to put in, we're doing every other one, right? We're not going to put it in the second chain, so we over here. So now our tail end is hanging out here somewhere, and it'll go in nicely. All right, so here's what you do. Take anything that's about 3 inches, and I did 6 strands, so 3 wraps of this. So that's 1, 2, and 3. And you don't want to do it too tight, right? Because as soon as you loosen up, the yarn's going to shrink back, and it's not going to be right. So I've got 3 on there. Take your scissors, cut it right here at the end, and then you can cut the bottom. Cut the bottom of these 3. Boom, there you go. Now we pinch it up here at the top, and we've got, when I got a little piece hanging left down here. I got a little strand hanging for dear life. All right, now we've got our 3 strands. Get them as even as you can to each other. You know, you just might have to play around with this for a second to get them as even. And it doesn't have to be absolutely perfect, because you're gonna, when you're done, you're gonna take your scissors and clean that up anyway. Take your hook, go in through, and you want to go in the same way each time. You don't want to flip-flop it. Go in the same way each time. So we'll go into our first chain, snag your yarn, pull it through. Pull it through enough that you could get your fingers in there. Okay? Get your fingers in there and pull through the rest of the yarn. Pull through your ends. And you want to do a little bit of playing around, making sure that they all pretty much stay. See, we've got one right there that's a little shorter. Pull it, because you want them all about the same. When you think you've got them all pretty much, now you can grab a hold of it, take your thumb, pull and tighten that down. Pull and tighten that down. And there's your tassel. There's your fringe at the end. Let's do this one more time. Okay, I wanted 6. If you want more than that, wrap as many times as you want to, however thick you want your tassel to be, your fringe on the end to be. And so I wrapped it 3 times. Let's get this out of there. Okay, make sure you get it down the back. This is hanging out, so you've got 3 on the front and you've got 3 on the back. Take your scissors, snippity snip down here at the bottom, and then snip the 2 that are there. Now we've got our 3 strands. Try to keep those as uniform together as you can. Went into one, skipped one. Okay. Went into this one. We're going to skip this one. We're going to go into our next. Snag your yarn, feed it through enough while still holding on to it to where you can get your fingers in here to pull through the other yarn. And you can adjust it, making sure they're all pretty much staying. And when you think you have it, tighten it down. There you go. And the tail end goes in there and hides. Y'all know I cannot stand a tail end. Anything to keep me from weaving in a tail end, Tammy's gonna do it. Okay, there you go. Then you skip a stitch, put a fringe, skip a stitch, put a fringe, skip a stitch, put a fringe, and then at the end you can comb them all down and snip them off to make them nice and even, and that's how you put fringe on the end of your scarf. All right, friends, be sure to hit me up on Facebook. Send me a picture of your feathered stitch. I would love to see it. Happy crocheting!